Hello, everyone, and welcome to Playwright, a podcast about creating and sharing new ways to play. And joining me on the show today, I should say, I am Ryan. We're all Ryan around here. I'm H, and joining me from a new part of the country. You enjoyed a guest on the show, Mr. Brian Edwards, last week, and now Ryan Quintal is back and angry as hell.
H, I feel like a lounge singer because away from, I don't have any of my desk and normal equipment, so I'm holding my microphone like I'm about to ask an audience member to answer a question or something. So you can imagine me perched up in this like bar stool chair in this tiny Airbnb kitchen, talking into this microphone like I'm being interviewed on TRL or something.
That's pretty good. That's a nice, maybe if you break into song about halfway through the show, then we'll know that all the pressure got to you, you cracked, you forgot where you were.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I feel like at any moment I could go, all right, Johnny, start on the 3 and a 1 and a 2, and then just nice jazz piano is going to start putting itself together.
And it just might. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the exciting part about this show. It's always fresh. It's always unexpected.
Speaking of fresh and unexpected, let's do something entirely new and pitch some made-up video games.
Okay, I love it. That's a novel idea.
Yes. So today I'm going to be going first, and what I'm bringing to the table is competitive bartending. I don't really know what I want this to be, whether it's VR, whether it's kind of like cook, serve, delicious, but let's highly incentivize speed, making the proper mixing of drinks more difficult to get just right. I've always been interested in the kind of mixology, and it always, looks like they're brewing alchemical concoctions back there, and I've just been interested. I want to be a part of that world. So let's go ahead and start the clock and see where we can take that.
So let's talk about the mechanics about brewing one of these cocktails. Do you imagine is this a little bit, not necessarily Octodad, but is it physicsy with the shaking and the like dramatically pouring, or are you imagining this is a little bit more sim, a little bit science-y?
A bit of both. I think there's inherently physics involved in the sciencey chemical reactions of bartending. I want something that gives you the feel of actually like making the drinks and all the kind of technique that comes with that.
One of my favorite activities that I see in kind of cocktail making is muddling and the use of like a mortar and pestle. I think that's how you call it. Mortar and pestle. There's either a T that's pronounced or there isn't. But I love the idea of having this maybe feel a lot like mini games, but mini games with, intent to them and a feeling of like additive accomplishment rather than just like, oh, you correctly muddled the mint or whatever.
The mint muddler is what I always order when I go to a bar.
Right. Go give me that mojito.
So do you play a lot of these cooking style games other than Overcooked, which is a stone cold classic that everyone enjoys?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think about if I have played other cooking games. I haven't played Cooking Mama, which I hear is good, but I don't know.
I played a bit of Cook Serve Delicious 2 a couple weeks back, and it's a pretty simple game. It's a very complex game, but it has a very simple premise, really easy to kind of get into. You play almost like the role of a sous chef that's overseeing a kitchen, and you have to kind of combine the ingredients to push out the right orders. It's like Overcooked without all the running around. I'm
trying to think of like, do you expect the management of multiple cocktail orders coming in and doing a lot of queue management, or would you rather this be, it doesn't have to be a busy bar necessarily, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think if we make this, or if we're at least kind of focusing on a mode that is multiplayer and competitive, then that gives us, we don't necessarily have to think about the goal. It's just kind of to mix drinks faster and better than your opponent, rather than trying to necessarily manage a queue. The queues could be endless as far as I'm concerned.
So drinks are coming in, I'm trying to think about like all the different things that separate these cocktails. I think pouring would have to be a really important, delicate, maybe like if it's a controller, it's a dual joystick sort of motion, because you have some cocktails that require that really delicate pour to sit on top of layers. And I also like the idea of really going full craft cocktail bar on this. Imagine, 11 p.m. in Brooklyn, a place that's going to put, I don't know, charcoal or something in your drink, that you have like the ability to carve out cubes and spheres of ice and do really dramatic ice things, like just even somebody wants a, whiskey neat or something, but then the getting that drink right requires you to have like a perfect sphere of ice or a perfect cube of it.
So all of these things take time. If time is going to be one of the things that people are scored on, how do we incentivize kind of making it fancy, putting that extra flair into it? Because, we don't want them just kind of like really quickly just pouring a bunch of Budweisers and calling it a day.
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. So, I think even like basic beers, maybe you're not allowed to serve a Budweiser or something, right? Like even a very basic beer, if you're trying to deliver drinks, there's like a Blue Moon, for example, that's traditionally served with like a slice of orange. And the orange has to be balanced on the rim of the glass. So I think you have the opportunity to take even the most mundane stuff and just have, either be asked to or forced to remember those details and be able to execute on them quickly.
Or maybe you have a menu on the wall. Like if this is in VR, then you have like a menu that's a little bit off to the side. And so all the time that you spend kind of referencing the menu and all the ingredients, you're looking away from the drink that you're supposed to be mixing.
Yeah, and I like the idea of like you can have cocktails that you set on fire or something, and if you have a burning cocktail, then that has to be served up to the customer in a specific amount of time. I had a drink recently at a restaurant where it's actually a little bit strange thinking about it, but they took what's the word I'm looking for? Not a twig of rosemary, but a sprig, maybe a sprig of rosemary, and they actually like charred it. They burnt it a little bit over the flame, so it had a really nice smell to it. And maybe each of the cocktails that you're sending out, just get these little mini scores, almost like the end of a little fight sequence in Bayonetta or something, where you get like visual presentation, taste, aroma is potentially one of them, and that all like averages out to a customer enjoyment score. And so you're like putting out these cocktails, and each one is frantic, like a little mini battle, and then you're getting those sort of S pluses at the end of it.
You've got the basic ingredients, you've got the different types of alcohols. Maybe you can spend time kind of arranging your own kitchen, not really a kitchen, your own bar. And so you kind of know where everything is, where you can really quickly access and grab everything. Maybe sometimes you're filling in for somebody else's shift and, you're in an unfamiliar layout, but everything is still there. You just need to kind of like get used to the space. I love the other aspects of bartending, the putting the glass, getting the rim salted, or adding some sugar to the rim like that. Like you said, the orange peel that you can kind of wisp into a drink.
Yeah, and I think there's even like knowing your glassware, right?
Yeah, so maybe you have to also kind of, I want this to be educational as well. I've always wanted to learn about bartending, but it always feels like a little bit more trouble than I am really that eager to get into.
Yeah.
Not trouble, but it's like, I don't even know where I would go to learn about bartending. But maybe you have to kind of, as people order food, you have to suggest the appropriate drinks to go with it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like that. And maybe for the first couple levels or something, you're the bartender in training. And so you actually get the older, more seasoned, the retiring pro bartender. And she's like guiding you through, and she's showing you how to make all these drinks. And she's able to sort of recommend, she's like, hey, kid, when somebody orders the fish, like you should try and sell them this and that. And you get a little bit of that sort of mentorship. So, and then like she leaves, and maybe the circumstances are kind of sudden, and you feel sort of thrown to the wolves of like, oh, what did she say? Like, am I remembering that correctly? And you have those sort of, those are kind of real fears and doubts that happen when you actually study under a person and they have to leave for whatever reason.
Yeah. So I think we've hit the time limit there. Let's close that down and come up with a name for this competitive bartending simulation.
Bar back is a great term I've always loved. I don't know if there's something.
Bar back to back.
I was waiting for that classic playwright pun to come into bar back to back. Bar back to the future. Maybe because you're an apprentice of sorts. Are you bar backup?
Bar backup. That's pretty fun. Yeah, let's go with that. Bar backup then. I don't even know what a bar back is. What does that term mean?
I think it just means I think it's just a bartender.
Okay.
I'm just picturing in my head right now like an old movie. Hey, bar back, get me tequila on the rocks.
Cool. So yeah, that is mine for today. Q, what are you bringing us?
So my game for you today came in hot and heavy. I only had this idea late today. I'm really fascinated with, it seems like years ago, we were promised the concept of Amazon delivering all of our packages with drones.
Mm-hmm.
This does not seem
promised
to be...
or threatened.
Yeah, a little bit of both, I think. If you don't like it, we're going to send drones to your house. That future has not necessarily come true, but I thought it would make a good video game and also train us, all of us humans here, for our eventual professions, which will be piloting drones for Amazon. So, a game where you play as a drone in maybe Death Stranding style. You have to load up packages and have them in the right arrangement for flight balance and all that stuff. But the flight of the drone is a little bit more, let's say we're in a green future, it's a little bit more like the Anthem jetpack, in it that you have to sort of hit winds and maybe land in different areas to solar charge your battery back up so you can take off again. So you're doing sort of cruising around a neighborhood from a big distribution center, delivering people's packages. That's the pitch.
Interesting. We'll go ahead and start the clock then. I do like, so Death Stranding is very much, I want to say kind of natural environments and stuff like that. Are you a drone flying over these kind of mountainous landscapes, or are you in the middle of a city, or is there a mixture of both?
I don't know why, but for whatever reason, in my mind, this game almost looks like the game that you actually told me about last week, The Stretchers. And I think it could take that sort of cartoonish, sillier bent to it if you wanted to go more on the comedy side of the delivery and the mishaps, and having like squirrels and birds be real real things to thwart you in your path. But I love the idea of a very naturalistic, almost flight simulator, but for drone deliveries.
You say The Stretchers, it's a very silly game, and then Flight Simulator is about as grounded as it can get. So,
right.
Like, what level of realistic versus silly are we looking to, what kind of experience are we looking to give people?
Well, I think if you went super realistic on this, that it might, like, and rightfully so, feel a little bit boring. So I think we should kind of split the difference and maybe head in a stylized type of direction where you can imbue things like tree climbing squirrels and high flying birds with a sense of personality and potentially not nihilism, but maleficence to your presence. So things don't want you. You are unnatural in a place of natural things. So everything down from when you land, the threat of dogs or cats that want to chase you. So you're very strategically trying to find landing zones to recharge your batteries. Maybe you even need to recharge near power lines or something like that, and you have kind of a wireless charge.
That would be a funny twist on this, is that you're able to land on anything electric and suck the power out of it. And so you can not only use that to recharge your own battery, but also to potentially like solve puzzles, like disarming security systems or if there's somebody who's, is going to chase you down, like sucking all the power out of their car before they see you.
For whatever reason, I thought you were going to say brain. And I was like, this is very Doctor Who at this point.
Or their defibrillator.
Oh, no. Grandpa. Yeah, or sucking the power out of like an alarm or a siren to stop attracting things to your location. Yeah, that's funny. And so like naturalistic things in this world, animals and, kids who are just playing around. Maybe their kids are piloting their own little toy drones or something that can mess you up too. That's kind of fun.
And maybe there's a competing delivery services and you have to become more like a combat drone and take those down.
Oh, that would be cool. So if you can shoot down or somehow disable a competing drone, if you can catch its packages before they hit the ground, then you can also make their delivery for bonus points.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. I'm liking this. So, have you been playing Death Stranding?
I have. I don't have my PS4, so I haven't touched it. I'm just fascinated by it.
Yeah, I have not either, so I can't offer any more insights on that. But if you knew any other kind of aspects of Death Stranding that would be kind of surprising and fun to implement in here. I know there's a lot of asynchronous multiplayer type stuff where you're building bridges and ladders that people can find and utilize themselves. I don't know if there's anything that these drones really need.
I think one thing that could be interesting is imagine if you had this drone as I don't know if asynchronous multiplayer is the right sort of concept here, but as a weird multiplayer layer on top of The Sims. So people who are building houses and stuff, and you don't quite know where their doors are going to be, but they have to specify where they want packages delivered. Maybe there's a way to look at the package to see, or you have to fly so close to a house and hover to find the little note that's like, use other door or ring doorbell and that sort of thing. And you extend your little R2-D2 arm and actually alert the people.
Another fun kind of multiplayer component onto this would be if everybody's drones were just on one map. And so you almost have like a battle royale type thing, but you're also, maybe this could be a separate mode. You have your single player and then you've got this like massively multiplayer drone delivery service. And so whether you choose to play nicely or shoot down other drones that you see, or even as you are landing on objects and stealing the electricity, those objects are now discharged and other drones aren't able to land on them and get electricity for themselves. So, it's part of this kind of like tragedy of the commons scenario.
Yeah, even if it was as simple as everybody just having to go pick up packages and make deliveries, if a round was short enough and frantic enough, I think that alone could be a fun multiplayer experience. Mm-hmm. But you just made me think of the idea of roaming around discharging things kind of takes me in the direction of, oh my gosh, having some aspect to, I'm trying to think about how to morph this. So one thing that delivery services do now is they take a picture of your house with the package at it. So I think you could have a whole...
that's interesting as well, yeah.
Yeah, a whole like proof system that you delivered it. So you have to sort of turn in photos and stuff at the end of your deliveries to prove that you actually did that. Of course, that's certainly more for a human system, right? Like a drone shows a GPS tracker of like, yes, it definitely went to this house and dropped off the stuff. But yeah, maybe you still add in that human element. And of course, people would really be positioning themselves well to get a great photo. Like the photo must contain the whole door. And so that's like a secondary puzzle once you drop off the package.
Or maybe, you're trying to be quick. And so if you drop it anywhere on somebody's property, then you get some points for it, but you do have to get that photo. So if you drop it, like if you're just like flinging it and it falls into like somebody's bush or window or something like that, then you have to like get a picture of, you get a little corner in the picture and that's good enough to count, but you get a poor score on it.
Oh, I love the idea of you just dropping off packages and it's customer photos that like get sent back to the company. And so when you're done your spate of deliveries, you get a bunch of photos from the virtual customers as to where you dropped it. And if you really put people under a time crunch, you could do stuff where, like, the higher you drop the package, maybe the more messed up the box is, or you want to give such a short period of time that you really are, pants on fire to drop off one of these boxes. So they end up in kind of funny looking places potentially. Oh, like, oops, that went into that guy's pool. It was not expected.
Bounced into a guy's toilet.
Yeah. Knocking open the door of an outhouse. That's a great idea.
So I always like games that have this kind of like 3-dimensional flying around type of mechanic, whether it's piloting a UFO or, drones are, they can hover in place. They've got kind of everything that you need to make for a really pleasing flight experience. You can even work in some motion controls into it.
Drones pleasing. I'm sorry, you were saying?
No, you can even work in some motion controls into it. I think there's just something kind of inherently fun about that kind of complete 360-degree freedom of movement.
Yeah, and I think the game would be fun flat, or you could do a campaign mode where you can slowly upgrade little parts of your drone and get into almost that sort of Armored Core-esque level of, painting the drone and customizing, and maybe you even play a drone pilot that works in the fulfillment center, so you have that weird, strange Ubisoft layer of in-between weird narrative interstitials where you're walking around this fulfillment center and it's commentary on the weird dystopian state of our economy.
You know how drones have those 4 engines, those 4 fans that kind of hold it in the air? What if they were very expensive? And so to keep up with things, they make you significantly faster and better flying. But, they're so expensive that you can wait until you can afford all 4 of them. Or as you're trying to keep up with Jeffersons, you buy one at a time. And then all of a sudden you've got one corner that's very powerful and you kind of have to balance like the awkward flying mechanic.
Yeah, well, from what I understand, cue 2 people who haven't played Death Stranding talking about Death Stranding. From what I understand in Death Stranding, there's something where you have to hold the left and right triggers to sort of balance the character at all times. And even though I think that's probably too far on the end of strange for this kind of game, I do think making it almost, recreate that feeling you had playing like Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, where you're like, I'm not quite sure how this thing's going to fly, but I know it will fly and it'll get there. And you can keep repeating and trying to beat your old times based on the upgrade parts.
Yeah, absolutely. We're out of time. Let's come up with a name for this one.
I wrote down a fake name of the company, which is potentially redwoods.com.
Why that?
Well, it's just a different forest than the Amazon.
Oh, that's true. I get it.
There's got to be better forests than that, though. Yellowstone?
Yellowstone. If I just saw a game called Yellowstone, though, I don't know if I would be expecting a drone delivery game.
It sounds like a Minecraft sequel. What if it was just called, like, Quadcopter?
Quadcopter. If we found, like, a funny way to spell it, maybe if we just left out the E, like it was an old app or something like that.
Quadcopter.
Just funny because, like, the old apps left out letters so that they could be, like, short and fit in the description of an iPhone icon. And for it to have a really long name anyways kind of defeats the purpose.
What else could it do? Is there something about... Should we call it like droning on?
I was thinking about that actually.
Drone on is pretty good because you have to charge the thing and keep it kind of alive.
Yeah. Okay. I'm good with that. Drone on can even be the command that your character gives at the beginning of every level.
Drone on. Yeah. This is very 1992 of sort of Power Rangers type of aesthetic.
All right, let's move on to our community pitch. This one came from Twitter, actually. It was tweeted at me in particular, so they get the special treatment. Wow. This comes from Scott Burrows, who says, well, basically we were talking about Luigi's Mansion 3. We both expressed dissatisfaction at one of the bosses and decided to come up with a way to make it a little bit better. So let's replace the entire maintenance floor and come up with something funny that a maintenance floor in a Luigi's Mansion hotel and an associated boss fight could do. So I'll go ahead and start the clock with a very open-ended pitch. Have you played Luigi's Mansion 3 yet?
I played a bunch of it. I don't know how far I am. I just beat the plant level or plant stage, so maybe not that far. But tell me about the maintenance level and what it's like now.
I don't want to spoil it, but there's, really, maybe even going into it fresh is the best way to do it.
Okay, all right. Well,
you kind of have the general gist of how things work in Luigi's Mansion. Every floor is kind of a standalone puzzle, and you're using these thematic elements to kind of like come up with creative puzzles and solutions and stuff that lead you eventually to a boss at the end that has that plays into the theme.
Okay, so one of the things I think would be really cool in a maintenance level is dealing with a lot of the kind of spooky, scary underbelly of a hotel, like not only like laundry chutes and stuff falling, like almost in that very first place that you land once you fall down. I haven't seen anything like that yet again in the game. And I like the idea of people or the ghosts constantly discarding all the junk that's around the hotel, and pieces are falling constantly. So you get like waterfalls of physicsy junk to pull stuff from.
So it's kind of like the trash bins then.
With that, you could have, there's like parts of that level that explore do you know those, like, I'm trying to think of an example of it, but there's the big yellow tubes with sort of wire rims that keep them open. Yeah, that people throw like garbage down or whatever. I feel like something could be done with that and like obfuscating enemies in it and like chasing enemies through it.
Yeah, almost like a gerbil maze, those tubes that rodents like to run through.
Yeah. So you could have like loop-de-loops and so like an interconnecting tube system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's clever. What else could be done? So yeah, let's say we want to base this whole floor around garbage of different kinds. Maybe there's a trash compactor, typical Star Wars fashion. Maybe there's an incinerator even, and that can maybe the incinerator is possessed by a ghost. That could even be the boss at the end. You have that kind of Toy Story 3 moment of trying to avoid being burned alive.
I also like the idea of, in this, because trash is falling, maybe you have ghosts. Like one of the first ghosts has a suitcase kind of swallowed and suspended in her. Ghosts that maybe have trash, maybe some trash that like gets your Luigi vacuum stuck for a second. There's not a lot of like getting your actually like malfunctioning your vacuum or like worrying about how you're going to approach an enemy, or even maybe enemies covered in like dirty tablecloth. So they have like the classic ghost appearance, right? And you have to like suck them up twice first to like rip off the tablecloth, and then they run away again and you gotta catch up to them.
Right. I was thinking if there's anything to like discarded electronics producing like electrical ghosts, like discarded batteries making acidic ghosts. I don't know.
Maybe you could do something where you pick up, you can suck up a radio or something like that, and like the chainsaw or the bandsaw. So when you hold it, you actually have to listen for an audio signal that a ghost creates. So the ghosts are essentially invisible until they get close enough to the radio, in which case like the audio feedback flashes them into physical being.
It's kind of like a Silent Hill game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Luigi's Mansion is Silent Hill in many ways. What do you think about it?
Yeah. All right, so this kind of electrical interference. I also like in dumps, you get these big kind of magnetic arms that move cars around and move metal objects and stuff like that. I think there's fun to be had with those.
I'm trying to think if there's also like all the mechanics that happen around trash, like trash bags, and maybe there's some sort of smell management. Maybe you can there's like stink and you can blow around the stink to sort of manipulate things or to like wilt plants and to, sort of ruin clean things that expose little hints as to where to go or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can take a page from Super Mario Sunshine and make this floor more about kind of getting things clean and tidy again. You're washing off some of the gunk.
What would the boss of this thing be?
I think there's a lot of fun things you could do. I mean, just kind of, there was a game that I played on Apple Arcade, Things That Go Bump, I think it was called. And basically it's like a multiplayer ghost trick in a way where you are a ghost that can kind of freely fly around in this 2D setup in very mundane places. So it could be like a bathroom or a junk drawer or something like that. And basically you can possess any of the objects in that environment. And it's up to you to basically possess. There's various different like types and genres of objects. Like some of them become legs, like springs or wheels. Some of them become bodies. Some of them become weapons, like scissors and knives and stuff like that. Oh. And then some become heads, and they'll give you like you can have one of each at a time. You don't need to have all of them, but and then you just go around and you fight other, possessed stacks of objects with these kind of random bodies that you've created. So I think it'd be fun to have a Luigi's Mansion boss that is always kind of like changing form and just making its own body out of things that are in this, that have been thrown away.
Oh, you could set the whole boss battle in like a Star Wars-esque garbage compactor. Mm-hmm. So there's always sort of new garbage falling, and as you go through a round of fighting the ghost, maybe the room is even like getting smaller and smaller, so their AoE attacks and stuff become much more devastating because you have less space to run away from them.
Yeah, you have that time pressure there inherently.
I like the idea of the boss potentially being the janitor of the whole hotel. And maybe that's what it is in the real game. But if you did a janitor boss, I would love some mechanic where you are either trying to add to or steal keys one at a time from that giant sort of janitor key ring that janitors always seem to have, right? So I don't know if there's something where like you have to sort of suck up the janitor or like shoot garbage and stun it in some way, and then get a hold of one of these keys to unlock something. And, only by unlocking 4 things does it like shut down the garbage compactor and the ghost like withers away.
Maybe maybe there's something that a big lock that you need to unlock. And so any of these keys could be the one that unlocks it, and you just need to kind of like pick and choose, but there's no way of knowing. It's kind of a luck thing. I guess that's not that fair or fun, but
well, it's a Nintendo game, so the last key will be the one that opens it.
That's true.
But you got to try them all. You'll have to do something where you have to at least attempt them all. It could be maybe like actually attempting a lock is what stuns the ghost for you to do like damage to it.
Yeah. We're out of time. Let's wrap it up. I guess we don't have to come up with a name, but I guess we can name the boss.
I was going to say we could call it B1 or something like that.
Well, it'd be B2, I guess, because B1 is where Egod's lab is.
Oh, okay. So B2. What's a good janitor name?
I mean, I don't want to like put something forward because then it's like, oh, so all Polish names are associated with janitors to you? Is that what you're saying?
I shouldn't have framed it as what is a good janitor name. I'm trying to look at names of these bosses right now. There's DJ Phantasmagloria. There's... What are some of the other bosses' names? Hard to find proper nouns. Magic Trio, Nikki, Lindsay, and Ginny? This might not even be.
Spectre Ash. It doesn't really...
Ghost, ghoul. I'm trying to think maybe of a word for a ghost that sounds like a cleaning product.
Yeah.
Phantom.
Screechy clean.
Oh, that's pretty good.
It's more scary than squeaky.
Is there Scrubbing bubbles. Boobles?
I don't think so.
Boobles the janitor is not a bad terrible.
Got picked on a lot in school.
Yeah. What did you say? You said screechy?
Screechy clean.
What about Mr. Scream?
Mr. Scream, I like it.
He's bald. He wears a white t-shirt. It's perfect.
Yeah. That's good. I think that works out. So that's Luigi's Mansion 3, Mr. Scream. All right. That was submitted by Scott Burrows, who tweeted me at InsertCoins. You can also tweet at Playwright. Nope. I guess he did tweet at Playwright. That is somebody else. That is a Tanya Tyler, a happily retired playwright, poet, and singer. Interesting. All right. You can tweet at PlaywrightCast. You can go to our website, playwrightcast@gmail.com, or you can email us, playwrightcast@gmail.com.
Or you can come to my undisclosed Airbnb location and shout it through a window. I promise not to be startled.
Any Airbnb in Colorado, we'll narrow it down that much, and then we'll let you know when we hear it.
That's right, and I will hear it. Special thank you to PROTODOME for the use of our theme song, Hello World, off the album Blue Noise. It's a really good album. Go listen to all of PROTODOME stuff on Bandcamp, and while you're listening to that music, go check out the Kane and Rinse Network with shows like Kane and Rinse, Sound of Play, Sausage Factory, The Sausage Factory. It's not the Facebook. Lose the. And, go check out the website. There's a ton of stuff on there, and it's getting better all the time. In fact, the whole site itself just got a kind of a little bit of a facelift, did it not?
I know that we've been dealing with certain browsers have been giving unsecured content errors. So maybe in clearing some of that up, Jay made some more kind of behind the scenes changes.
Well, CaneandRinse.com has got that great HTTPS beautiful secure connection. Mwah, your internet's going to love it. Go to the website. Hey, sponsor them on Patreon. The end of the year is coming. There's a ton of content coming your way, and we're all participating. It's going to be really fun.
All right. And to take us out of the show, I'm going to deliver a miniature pitch. This week, how about a game where you play as a first-person view of a hammer trying to hit all the nails correctly?
Oh, my God. That's just me out.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye.